Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. We are from Group 6 with a presentation about discourse analysis in linguistic course. Group 6 consists of Miftahul Falah, me, Aprilia Dewi Anggreni, and Arlene Nisa Aulia. Let's get started the presentation, and the presentation will be started by Arlene. Arlene, time is yours.
Discourse analysis. What is discourse analysis? The word discourse is usually defined as language beyond the sentence, and so the analysis of discourse is typically concerned with the study of language in text and conversation. Some discourse analysts consider the larger discourse text in order to understand how it affects the meaning of the sentence. For example, is no shoes, no service. This word, usually on window shop or market, understanding that a conditional relation exists between the two parts. If you are not wearing shoes, you will not receive the service. We have the ability to create complex discourse interpretation of fragmentary linguistic message. Interpreting discourse. This is when we find text breaking grammatical rule, but yet we build an interpretation about them. So what we are doing is to reach an interpretation that what the writer is trying to say, to arrive at an interpretation and to make our message interpretable. We certainly rely on what we know about linguistic form and structure. Cohesion. Cohesion is the grammatical and lexical relationship between the different elements of a text. Cohesion will not be enough to allow us to understand what we read. It's easy to create highly cohesive text that has a lot of connection between sentences, but it's very difficult to interpret. For example, my father bought a Lincoln convertible. The car driven by the police was red. The color doesn't suit her. She consists of 3 letters. However, a letter isn't as fast as telephone call. And the connection people and things throughout father, he, and he. My, and I, Lincoln and it. And there are connections between phrases such as a Lincoln convertible, that car, and the convertible. And there are more general connections created by a number of terms that share a common element of meaning. Money is bought, saving, penny, worth a fortune, sold, and pay. And then time is once, no day, and sometime. And there is also a connector that is however. And then coherence. Coherence is the relationship that connects the meaning of the utterance in discourse or of the sentence in a text. The key to the concept of coherence is not something that exists in word or structure, but something that exists in people. It is people who make sense of what they read and hear. For example, when her say, "That's the telephone," and him answer, "I'm in the bed," and her say, "Okay." There are certainly no cohesive ties within this fragment of discourse. Here we see coherence but no cohesion. We can characterize the brief conversation in the following way. She makes a request of him to perform action, and then he states reason why he cannot comply with request, and then she undertaken to perform action.
Speech event. A speech event can be defined by a unified set of components true of the same purpose of communication, the same topic, the same participant, and the same language variety. Example, we would have to specify the roles of speaker and hearer and their relationship, whether they were friends, stranger, man, woman, young, old, of equal or unequal status, and many other factors. All of these factors will have an influence on what is said and how it is said. We would have to describe what the topic of conversation was and in what setting it took place. Conversation analysis. Conversation is interactive communication between two or more people. Usually, they will take turn to talk, but sometimes they will be talk at the same time, like when they both. In writing, we can use a small square bracket to indicate a place where overlapping speech occur. Example: A. I hope this will be done soon. A small square bracket. I know that. B. A small square bracket. No, we need more time to check it. A. Yes, but you know the situation is. Turn taking. We must recognize when and how to speak because it is one's turn, because we can be considered impolite or rudeness when we speak carelessly. In take turn, we can use verbal or nonverbal. Nonverbal, such as raising hands to ask permission to take turn, while verbal uses linguistics to take turn. While we want to take turn, there is situation that uses either an informal approach, just jumping in and start talking, or a formal approach, permission to speak is requested. The important thing when we turn taking is don't be long-winded to save the time and not confusing. Informal example. I agree with the point just made, but might I add that we would everyone be happy here, so we could make a party here. Formal example. Might I have the floor, sir? The topic under discussion is the state of the Indonesia economy today. We want better life for all Indonesians, whether they are working here or abroad. Cooperative principle. In simple terms, the cooperative principle is the idea that people cooperate with each other in conversing. It's generalized by Christ 1975, a speaker that obeying the four maxims known as Christian maxims. First, the quantity maxim. When speaking, make sure it is required, no more or less than is required. Second, the quality maxim. When speaking, must be true. Third, the relation maxim must be relevant. Fourth, the manner maxim must be clear, brief, orderly.
And then hedges. Hedges is a kind of expression which show the speaker consent to use the maxim to be cooperative participant in the conversation. Hedges can be asserted as words or praise to express that the speaker are not really sure, ambiguity, caution, probability about his information is totally true or complete. We can use words sort of or kind of as hedges. For the example is her such kind of navy blue. It means sepertinya bajunya berwarna biru dongker. It means that he is not sure about the color of the shirt. And then implicatures. Implicature is something that speaker does, not something that sentence does, which is what a speaker implicates is different from they say. It's also not what the hearer learns beyond the literary meaning from the speaker says. For the example is A. Are you love him? B. Well, he's rude. A asks B. Then B answers that she is bad with the word rude. It shows that B doesn't love him without say yes or no. Background knowledge can be very much helpful in interpreting any text. Schema and script are two terms that comprise the background knowledge. Schema and script tell us what actually the real situation is and what are the actions. Schema is conventional knowledge which exists in memory. And then scripts. Scripts is essentially a dynamic schema in which conventional action take place. The example is trying not to be out of the office. Suzy went into the nearest place, sat down, and ordered an avocado sandwich. Here in the above example, the background knowledge of the situation and action can be traced out through the schema and script us. Schema tell us Susie may be an office girl. The nearest place is some restaurant. Script tell us about the action she performs as firstly, she unlocked the door. Secondly, she walked to the nearest restaurant. Thirdly, she opened the door of the restaurant. Here schema and script tell us what actually the real situation is and what the action are.
Thank you for all of you that watching our video, and if group 6 have a word that wrong, group 6 apologize about it, and if you have any question you can ask in Google Classroom. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.